lasts long enough. Okay, got to do some kind of different, something kind of different thing. Anyway, that's Doofus back there in the corner, Buffer. Mr. Doofus there, him and Sissy, supposedly he's Sissy's kid. I don't know. Either way, they belong to the neighbor lady next door, who's now moved. And they moved into our house 4 years ago. Basically, like it here better than over there. So I call them the neighbor cats because they're still technically her cats, but they live with us. Anyway, Sissy's in the bedroom somewhere, and that's Mr. Doofus. And Mama's sitting over here. She's out there on the chair looking out the window. Not sure where Squeaky's at or where Frankie's at. Anyway, too many damn cats, right? Oh, I see it over and over again in the news, in the media. I'm appalled and shocked and horrified when I see this happen over and over again. How many gun shootings are going on these days? They seem to be happening more frequently. Although I'm going to say, and this goes from both public and private and schools and domestic abuse, it's all on the upswing. And there's some connections there. There's a lot of dots there that people are trying to connect. And a lot of times they try to overshadow other parts of the other dots, and so they're not being corrected well, or they're just flat out being ignored. Because technically, at the end of the day, it's all about, okay, we just got to wash our hands. We just wring our hands. There's nothing we can do. It's terrible. It's unfair. Blah, blah, blah. Bullshit. Bullshit. Y'all can do something if you want to. If the motivation's there and it's sufficiently high enough, and the money's in the right damn pockets, isn't that how it goes? Yeah, money. Money is what motivates our politicians. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, America. We just see it over and over again. It's so blatant. It's even and anymore. It's right out in the open. It's right there in the fucking open. You just got to open your eyes and see just how little our politicians really truly do for us as a group, as individual Americans. The majority of us get stuck by these ass clowns, and they're good to be a politician. Because any moron, damn near, it seems like can get elected to office if you've got enough money and connections. You know, why do they push so moronic? Why do they push so many moronic politician hopefuls? People that turn out to be terribly educated, poorly informed, very bigoted, very small-minded. How does these people keep getting elected to office? Because the people with the money controlling the actual election. So there is, we need election reform. Is there, people cheating at fair elections and stuff? I think our elections as fair as they can get. No, the cheating goes on behind the scenes where the money's at. Nobody spends $50 million for a $170,000 a year job. Nobody. Least of all the person that ran for the job. So who paid for that $50 million, and what are they getting out of it? What is their real payback? Because you bet you they're going to get their $50 million back and done something. Because they wouldn't have done it. Money's money. They would not have done it if that's not how it was going to play out. So we have this slew of crisis in this country that's coming to a head, and it's becoming more and more of an obvious problem. And starting with the gun violence. Oh my God. Any idiot these days damn near can have a gun. And if you think, happen to have a background check and have a license and all that other fun stuff, yeah, that's what you're supposed to have, but that's not how it really works. You can go to just about any town in Midwestern America and eventually find somebody on Craigslist selling a pistol or a rifle or a shotgun. You can go to garage sales occasionally and find them for sale. I've seen it, right? So the fact of the matter is there's this obsession, and there's been a long obsession with guns in America. And everybody has a lot of spirited debates about the Second Amendment. Eventually, I think I'm going to have to do a video or two on the damn thing myself to give you my take on that and what my family, as I grew up, philosophy and views were on a lot of stuff. So, do you know somebody has a room like this? Do you? I do. I know several people. I actually know one fellow that's got probably 10 times that. And, he even claimed for a while he's a vendor. He's a vendor. Yeah. No, he's just a gun collector. He loves his guns. He loves to collect them. He likes to collect lots of them, in part because he really believes the shit's going to hit the fan, and we have a really, really strong chance of the world falling apart, and we're going to need them guns. As a matter of fact, there is a large section of the American population, especially amongst the white folks, who actually fantasize about that end of the world scenario. They're horrified by it. They're terrified by it. But these, some of them go so far as becoming preppers, and so a gun hoarder is still a form of a prepper because they're prepping for Armageddon. They're prepping for the end of the world. They're prepping for, I don't know, the Russians invading or something. So that Second Amendment, let's just take for a very brief moment. That Second Amendment, I've read it. Of all the amendments in our Constitution, to our Constitution, all of them are very dry and twisted and full of jargon that you have to be a freaking lawyer to understand it because lawyers wrote it for other lawyers, right? So there's always been this belief that the Second Amendment gives everybody the right to keep and bear arms. That's not what it says. And if you literally take it for what it says, for a well-regulated militia. You go back to colonial America. We didn't have a standing army. They didn't have a standing army, and then so when they decided to piss off the damn the Brits and tell them where to go, Washington had to make an army out of nothing. They had to raise an army from scratch. Most of them were militia people. They were people who volunteered, brought their own damn shotgun or brought their own damn musket to the party. A lot of those people fought all the way through the war. So every state should have a state guard. We call them National Guard now, but back in the day, every state had some kind of military, semi-military, pseudo-military force, i.e. a militia. You get the dictionary out and you do a little bit of research into what a militia is. It's not a standing military. It's a augmented person, auxiliary military, generally by people who are only called up when the shit's the fan. So in order for those to function well, that meant the militant citizens of the country, members of the militia or whatever, were required by law to keep their firearms with them at home, generally at all times. So if they were to go do some work in another town for a couple of weeks, they would take their goddamn muskets with them. And it wasn't always because they had to protect themselves from Indian attacks or from bandits on the roads, just because they were required to do so. They signed an agreement or took an oath, took a verbal oath that I'm going to help defend my community in the state if I'm called upon. That's it. There's nothing else in there. There's no wording whatsoever in that says anything about you personally being able to have a damn gun. It's suggesting that you ought to have a right to carry it and to carry one and to own one, but it's not guaranteed by the Constitution, not by the amendment. We have blown that shit so far out of proportion, and they have twisted this very vague entry to mean so much crap that you end up with people that literally have arsenals. Talk about a country of haves and have-nots. Well, I hear this from a lot of my redneck Republican conservative people who most of their lives never bothered to vote in the first damn place, but always claimed to be a Republican and believe in the Republican crap. It's only till recent years that they actually stepped up and got into the voting fervor because they're stealing our country. We gotta Trump's the real president. Yeah. So these people have spent their entire lifetime, hoarding this shit, building this shit up. In addition to that, We've been acknowledged, it's not finally, we have been acknowledging, specialists have been crying about it for decades, but people are starting to acknowledge that there's a mental crisis in this country. And importantly, there's probably a more insidious problem when it comes to the young men in this country. It's hard. You know, there's they call it a loneliness crisis. It's hard to be socially active these days. It's hard. And everything's on the internet, everything's in your face. Everybody stepped up. There's this, there's a lot of pushback on men in America and how we're supposed to comport ourselves. We're raised in a certain philosophy that young American men, do this. We stand up. We don't take no shit. We're honest. We work hard. We do the right thing. We raise our families. We support our communities. We give service when necessary. This is something that's beat into us. Also beat into us not to cry, not to show emotions because of weakness, not to be overly dependent on other people. So we see this added to the social crisis. And what I mean by it, what I'm looking at is this lack of connectability. There are a few days that go by that I don't think of my best friends when I was a kid. David and Richie. I miss the crap out of them. I love both of them, my brothers, I do. Back in high school, we started to part our ways as children, childhood friends often do. We went our own ways, pursued our own lives, and for whatever reason, we have never made any attempts to connect since. And I respect their privacy and their, I should make the first move, but I can't bring myself to do it. Part of me says that that's not how I should do things because that's part of how I was raised, not to do certain things, not to say certain things, right? Not to push certain agendas. So I spend most of my free time doing videos on YouTube or listening to my wife picture cats. My job is solitary. I don't have a lot of people around me. I have a bad habit of talking too much, and when nobody asks me to, when we're out there, when I'm out there, because I don't get a lot of intellectual conversation at home. I love my wife, don't get me wrong, but she has absolutely no interest in anything like this, anything with politics. And she would be sheep. She'd easily be sheep. So when I see a lot of these MAGA people saying the crap they say when they do interviews and stuff, I don't have to look far. I don't have to look far. And the sad part is that I can't get her to understand just how crucial and vital and important some of these issues are today. So much so that people in the past who didn't want to vote or didn't want to be bothered to vote, you are foolhardy if you don't step up and vote now. When the 24 election comes around, everybody needs to get up. Everybody needs to stand up and get in that line. Everybody. Because if things go further south, if the forces of evil win, and they don't, here's the thing, they don't see themselves as evil. They honestly, in a lot of their rank and file, rank specifically believes in the cause. They believe that they are trying to save America and the American dream as they understand it. Yeah. Then there's that small percentage, especially of white Americans. White American men, for their entire lifetime, have visions of some version of an apocalypse, the end of the world, shit going south. There's actually a small percentage of people that embrace it. They love it. They would love to see the raw insanity of the world break out. Because then it's the law of the land is might makes right, and everybody who has the power to rule can rule. So if you got the guns, you got the ammo, you got the numbers, not rocket science, Not rocket science. So when I see certain elements get into Congress that really, really, truly seem to fail to understand, Matt Gaetz. Matt Gaetz. I don't really like this guy, but I don't honestly know enough about him to demonize him. Uh, Part of me understands what I think I understand what his motivations are. I don't trust any of his motivations. I don't trust any of these people's motivations because over and over and over again they have proven it over and over again. At the end of the day, the only real motivation they have is themselves and money. Money to keep themselves in power, power to get themselves money and more power. And so we see some of these people get up there. So I get these Lauren Boeberts. She's so stupid. She's so clueless. Lauren Boebert, that could be my wife was into politics and about 80 pounds skinnier. She could be Boebert. You see how easy it is to see the connection there? There's a lot of these. Look at a lot of these MAGA supporters that do these interviews, and then overlay side by side with some of the Boebert stuff. When she's talking and she's up there in Congress and she's got this shit-eating grin and these bug eyes and she's like she's in on some great grand joke that everybody else don't know about except her and her cronies. Yeah, pure whack job shit. Don't even know how to present herself well in a public venue, right? And Marjorie Taylor Greene, that lady's on a whole nother level crazy, but she's dangerous crazy. Boebert's only dangerous usually to herself and her party. Greene has just enough intelligence under her belt, and working for her, and some kind of malicious mindset that I struggle to understand. So giving her more power, yeah, she wants to be vice president of America. I don't like putting out predictions and crap, but here's a prediction. God help America if Trump gets reelected. The fact of it is, it's extremely possible right now. The numbers are extremely fine, and Biden's a fool if he doesn't see that. And part of me says Biden should actually step down. My only big problem with Biden stepping down is who the fuck would we replace him with? Honestly, who could you get that could, at this stage of the game, that could galvanize enough of the independent vote and keep enough of the Democrat vote to carry the day against Trump? If somehow Trump doesn't get to run for office, then all bets are off. Who knows who's going to be potentially getting elected? And Biden then is at a real run for his money. Frankly, I would love to have seen a Democratic debate and to see some possible alternatives to Biden. He should have had to win the nomination for the party. Shouldn't just be automatically handed to him. That's just an act of convenience that both parties have done their entire existence. Once you get an elected incumbent, you kind of want to keep that person in office. This is why so many of Congress remain in office decades and decades later, and they don't do shit. They don't really do much. I'm bombarded almost on a daily basis by the same 20 ass clowns in the Congress. Out of 430 odd people, it's 432 or something like that. I only see about 20 or so, and half of those they were nobodies a couple of years ago. Now suddenly they're people. Mostly, they're famous or infamous politicians. Over, who the fuck is she? The only reason she's got any traction at all is because of the shenanigans and the bullshit she keeps pulling and all the press time she gets. She's a whack. And she's an incompetent whack job. She really has no business. She don't even know how to do her damn job. She can't even pretend to do her job well. She just makes herself look like an idiot over and over and over again. Good for you, you people who voted for her. Good for you. You should vote for her again. I think Boebert should be re-elected. Yes, ma'am. Yes, sir. You heard what I said. Boebert's the Democratic friend. Democrats' friend. Let her stay in office. Let her do the whack job shit she does. Yeah. So we have this crisis in America, especially among young people, but people in general, men. There's a lot of men who we work and we work and we work, and we just don't get, we're not being fulfilled by this anymore. We feel like we're working for no end, to no end in sight, that we're not gaining ground, we're losing ground. We're not even maintaining what we have. We're slowly diminishing, and what our spending capacity is reducing. We get older every damn day. So, I mean, the realities are things are not good, and it gets harder. And then we have been, for my generation, we were raised on this mantra of what it is to be a real man. You need to be a real man, son. Wake up and be a real man. Fuck you. What the hell does that mean? 57 years old, and I have yet to understand fully what that really, truly fucking means. Be a real man like y'all? Like the aggressive, abusive father that I had, right? He was a real man, too. Like to beat up on kids and women. Didn't do it very often. Tell my family shut his ass down. When your mom has several brothers, four brothers are bigger and meaner than your dad, then things get straightened out. But it was a different era. We didn't talk about shit like that. We didn't look at that sort of stuff. Well, it's a whole different thing today, which adds to even more of the problems. We don't bury our problems as much today as we used to. A lot of people wear those emotions and their mental problems right on their sleeve for everybody to see, and they're real easy to tug on and set them off. And that is part of our problem with our societies, but here in America specifically. And there's no end in sight. It's not going to get better anytime soon because there's no effort to make it better. Money's not the answer to everything, no, but making an effort to do shit, to actually achieve things and make it sincere and legit and not fuck with it. Yeah, right. It's just half the country wants this, another half doesn't want that. So what do you get? Somewhere in between or nothing at all. Too many damn guns. Everybody needs a gun. We should have everybody armed. Everybody should. You just make a law that every American from the age of 10 years old to 110 must carry a firearm. Period. Would that make you happy? Would that make you happy, America? The more and more of these people that really have no business owning a gun gain them, the more dangerous the world becomes. And the less I've noticed our politicians seem to really want to do anything about it. All the Democrats will make a lot of noise about it and thump their chests and wring their ears and shed crocodile tears, but at the end of the day, they don't do much either. And when they have power, when they do have control, they don't do shit. They really don't. They spend all their time trying to work a deal out with the other side because we want to show we're better than the other side because we always want to include the other side. When the other side has absolutely no qualms in running the fuck over you and your side to get what they want. And it's become blatantly obvious these days. So you got a whole lot of young gentlemen who don't see a future for themselves. They don't know how to cope with the future, the present that they have. They feel isolated. And there's, of course, the growing movement, the Me Too movement, and the red pill bullshit, and a lot of feminism, aggressive feminism, is taking its toll. You want men to behave a certain way, then you bastardize them for doing it. You teach them as children to work to behave a certain way, and then you chastise them for doing it and punish them for it. You want equal rights for everybody, and that's the way it should be. Everybody should be equal, period, regardless of sex, creed, race, religion, any of this crap. If you're an American, American should be enough for you to be equal, even though America has never been intended to be equal. And our own Constitution is a big lie and a farce as much as it is a shining beacon for humanity, which is sad. Sad that so many people use America as that shining city on the hill, but they don't understand the cesspool and the sewer that it's built on. The very fact that all men were created equal at the initiation of this country, and yet we had to take a civil war to actually free the men that weren't covered by that. Oh, just free white men. Free white men, and everybody else is second or third citizens. They didn't say that in writing, but that's basically how it played out, isn't it? Isn't it funny? If we'd have actually been true to our creed and our word from day one, what if? What if? You know, you could fill the world full of what ifs. But what if we initially started the country with that premise and held it to be gospel? All men, all women who are American in America are created equal under the eyes of God and the law, and thus treated equally. How different would our country be today? How much more progressive would we be? It's funny how when so many people want to lambast these quote progressive movements, when if you look at the heart of the most progressive movements, it's just trying to make everybody's lives better. Everybody's lives better. You know, you can still be a billionaire in this country and be very special. You have billions of money. You have lots of money. You can do whatever you want. But why shouldn't the rest of us have a decent life too? Why shouldn't we benefit from the fruits of our labor? I mean, just look at the crap that's going on in labor in America today. You know, a lot of people want to lambast the damn auto workers for standing up. But look, no offense, when your corporations are making an insane amount of profit, and I don't mean expenses, I mean pure profit. They've made all their bills and everything's been paid and all their costs is covered, all the labor and wages and bonuses and all this crap. In addition to all that, then they get $40 billion, 40% more. 20 million, 20 billion, 40 billion. It's a lot of money. So when you give your handful of ass clowns at the top level a huge fat fucking raise, and then you can sit back and be appalled and shocked when the rank and file sit there and say, hey, where's our share of that? We helped create it. Who the fuck are you? You're trained monkeys. This ain't for you. Go back to the fucking floor and be grateful you even have a job. Shouldn't you on your knees begging for your job? The minute a would-be American president said that in public, it should have been the very last time that man ever had a chance to be an elected official. No. Instead, we're going to keep electing these ass clowns who are hell-bent on bringing us Mad Max or some other apocalyptic scenario so somehow they can be warlords of the wasteland. And they're packing the guns to do it. Oh, one more thing for y'all GOP redneck conservatives, gun happy, gun hoarding crazy fuckers. Oh, the Democrats and independents in this country own more guns than you do. And you know what? A lot of them own those guns because of you. Not because of the police, not because of potential foreign problems, or even alien invasions. A lot of people have the guns because too many other fanatics got guns. And I guarantee you, if we ever go down that rabbit hole, it's going to be brutal and ugly very fast. Think about that for a minute. Just think about that for a minute.